Christmas related question. Here we go. Merry Christmas to you and your family with copious amounts of food, especially cookies. Do you have any ideas about how you'd like to stream? Sure, I guess. If you're listening, Bitwig. Christmas crackers are not sold here. Are they a regular tradition in the UK? Why has no one ever, as far as I'm aware, made a credible electronic Christmas song? I like the fact that you've put "you're lazy and don't want to get out of bed." Path for tune artists to continue their blockchain-based music journey. Have you treated yourself to anything with your Crimbo stash, or was it all socks and jumpers? Roses or Quality Street, and fave sweet from choice. Favourite Christmas song and most disliked Christmas song. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Hey guys, welcome to the Kane audio vlog. It's Friday, it's time for another Ask Me Anything. Usual rules apply, comment anything you want below this video and I'll get back to you in next week's video. It is a Christmas special this week. Unfortunately, before I start, I had planned on filming this downstairs in the living room. We have a gas fire that is like a fake open fire type thing. Christmas tree, and I figured if I sat in between the two, that would be perfect. I've just been down there, set up the camera, took down some lights that I bought specifically for my upcoming podcast, to then find out the lights were terrible and the shot looked awful, which is a real shame because I thought it would be great to have Christmas tree, open fire, Christmas jumper. Can't go wrong. Apparently you can go wrong because the lights I've got, basically there's no diffusion on them, so they look really direct, and basically it ended up looking like some sort of creepy horror movie with just my face glowing white with silhouetted background. So I've come back up to the studio and here I am, and hello. So I hope you all had a very good Christmas. So this is going out in between Christmas and New Year, so I will not see you before New Year, so I also hope you have a good New Year, whatever it is you are doing. I don't think there's really any house admin to cover because it's Christmas week, so Christmas was 2 days ago. I myself had a lovely Christmas, thank you for asking. Obviously with a newborn baby, or not so newborn now, but his first Christmas. Clearly it's going to be a special one no matter what happened. Yes, so house admin, because I've been off most of this week, I don't think, I'm just having a quick look now. Kane Audio merch store still has 10% off if you quote the word Santa at the checkout. That's shop.kaneaudio.com. Link will be below this video anyway. Spotify playlist has not been updated, but probably will be going into next week, so before next week's video. And I think that is it for now. Yeah, that's it for now. So, on with the video. Let's have a look. Last week's questions. Dreamstate42. Hey Dom, vibe, high five. I think I was the one wondering about micropitch, and I remember I wrote this in context of wondering if Bitwig should prioritise other improvements first, because I had a short email thread with their support about some shortcuts not working, brackets nudging events and notes, and them telling me that specific shortcut cannot be set by the user right now because of the way this specific shortcut works internally. As someone working in software development and project management myself, I couldn't help but think that this is kind of rough edges, from my experience, need to be taken care of very early on, or otherwise never will be touched again, or force you to lock yourself in for a while to clean up, like Ableton had to do with, read more, Live 8 if I remember correctly. Well, I think Ableton needed to do it with Live 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. if I'm honest. Anyhow, I absolutely agree with you and others that Bitwig is one of the biggest innovators in music right now, and it's very important that there are companies that consistently push the envelope. So, nudging notes and events, how important is that? And I mean that as that's not a sarcastic question, it's a genuine question, because I can't say I've ever needed a shortcut to do that, because it's very rare that I need to nudge anything in the first place. But talk to me, tell me more about that, because I kind of feel like that wouldn't be high up on the priorities. I totally get what you're saying, and I agree that often case with dev stuff, these things need to be sorted out first. But personally, I don't feel that nudging events and notes or developing a shortcut for something like that is going to be rough edges. I think that's just not important. But you tell me if you think otherwise. As for Ableton, I mean, that I think Ableton was a good example of proper rough edges, because I mean, there were serious issues with delay compensation and MIDI throughput and things like that, which were things that everybody suffered from. They weren't a request for a shortcut, for example, where you just wanted something that would be a bit more helpful. These were things that, if you had some serious latency issues on your sound card or whatever, it didn't need to be too serious. And then but for every plugin you lined up in a row, you were doubling your latency. So it was not good. When you had 8 or 9 plugins in a row, and then you wanted to automate the gain up and down really quickly or something, then it got pretty serious. So I don't know. I agree, but I don't agree on that reason. I agree with your context, though. Christmas-related question. Here we go. Are there any Christmas songs you really dislike, loathe, or hate? My personal goal every year is to get through one Christmas season without hearing Last Christmas, which fails pretty much every year. Maybe you should write the next big Christmas hit. I don't know if there's a Christmas song I despise. I think probably Last Christmas is one of the worst. I'll agree with you there. It's definitely not a song I want to hear. I kind of find it a bit too depressing. I feel like it's not a Christmas song. He just happens to say the word Christmas in it. If you replaced the phrase last Christmas, I gave you my heart, with last summer or last night, I gave you my heart, I feel like that's probably how it was written, and the rest of it's not really Christmas related, and it's just a soppy crap song that is not really that Christmassy. So I agree with you on that one. I don't think, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Christmas songs. I think I always, so as a young adult, I always was a bit Scroogey and bar humbuggy about Christmas, but I think most people are when they're young adults. But I've since sort of come to the conclusion that actually, if other people enjoy it, then that's great for them. We should let them have their thing. So if other people like Last Christmas, let them have that, because it makes them feel Christmassy, so that can only be a good thing. I'm sorry I have to get onto this train too. Start watching The Expanse. No more excuses. So there are more excuses. I still haven't finished a couple of other series, but as soon as I will, keep reminding me, because I will forget. But do keep reminding me. Merry Christmas to you and your family with copious amounts of food, especially cookies. Yeah, damn right. I haven't had any cookies actually this Christmas. But now you mention it, no, I couldn't, to be honest. I've had so much food in the last few days. It's getting out of hand, really. But thank you. I hope you and yours do too. FanFan87, salut Dom, vibe, high five. Unfortunately, I don't find any Christmas question related, so I'm sadly back to regular questions. It's fine. I didn't really expect many Christmas questions anyway. So again, what I was kind of hoping for was to be filming the AMA downstairs in a Christmas jumper. Ta-da! And for it to be Christmas related in that I was next to a Christmas tree. And that's about as Christmas related as I'd expect these sorts of AMAs to go, to be honest. Anyway, do you have any ideas about how you'd like to stream? Would you show your work, or would it be like the same angle as those AMAs? Okay, right, yeah, so this was talking about live streaming from the studio. So I have said that really, at the minute, these AMAs are kind of just about all I can do in this temporary studio, because it's the back room of the house and there's not much space and there's not really many different angles I can shoot from, certainly not easily. Whereas I'm hoping once I've got the garden studio built, the space should be a little bit bigger, which should give me a bit more freedom to sort of have a couple of cameras in permanent positions. I'm also using DSLR cameras at the minute, and I kind of figure they're probably not the best for things like live streaming, so I think that would need to change. So there's quite a bit to look at first. But yes, I would be looking at sharing the screen and maybe one or two angles. And I don't know how to do it. I guess if I can get a couple of decent webcams that do 1080p, then I would either have something like a broadcasting software that just automatically changes camera angle every 10 or 15 seconds or something, or maybe have multiple streams so that people can choose their camera angle. You can watch my screen or watch camera 1 or camera 2, or something along those lines. So I don't know. It's all I haven't done that much research on it yet, but that's kind of what I've got in my head so far. But yeah, I don't see any reason not to share the screen, to be honest, unless it's just a technological reason. But yeah, also reacting to your response on Bitwig, saturation wise, I usually have the Isotope Trash 2, but considering moving from Mac to Linux Mint for Bitwig, I need to find Linux VSTs, without forgetting it's more a challenge than an obligation. I just started 2 tracks on it, and it's really fun trying to do what I usually do with Serum, Ableton's plugins, Ozone 7 for the mastering, etc., but with Bitwig stuff only. Currently trying to get what do exactly the stretching different algorithms sonically. It's a bit difficult. That sentence was difficult for me. So yeah, trying to get what they do exactly, the different stretching algorithms. But I 100% don't regret the purchase. Yeah, so the stretching algorithms are a bit weird, but then they always are with all DAWs. I don't think this is specific to Bitwig. But there are different types of stretching, so you could stretch individual segments and make it granular and stretch those, or you could stretch the entire thing, and you end up having slightly different artifacts depending on what type you use. So some will be better for vocals, some will be better for beats, some will be better for entire tracks, and some will be better for just smaller samples. It is kind of worth getting used to which one does what. I think my default is just Stretch HD, but yeah. But I 100% don't regret the purchase, and you should be thanked by Bitwig's guys for convincing me, and surely other producers, to adopt it. Yeah, well, sure, I guess. Yeah, if you're listening, Bitwig, I know a couple of the guys do watch this, so yeah, where's my award? Edit one. Here's a tough one here. What would you do if you wanted to create a Bitwig DJ template in order to do as much as a regular CDJ mixer tractor setup would? This is a recent question, I wonder, since I have Ableton and watching deadmau5 really DJing with Ableton, especially during his test pilot sets, because he doesn't look like he pre-prints his lives in those cases. But like during his regular shows, the biggest struggle I see for the moment is how can you see the tracks playing live? Is there a possible trick with the undock and show in a separate window button? So you have your track view at the bottom of the screen like you would with Ableton or Bitwig or whatever. If you're looking at waveforms, then that would be your default view under the mixer. But in reality, I guess you shouldn't really need to see that. I mean, if you think about CDJs and whatever, I don't really look at the waveform on that, really. So for a DJ setup, I think it would be pretty simple, to be honest. Just layer up your tracks as clips. And that's basically it, isn't it? It's pretty simple. I've not seen Demouse with his test pilot stuff. I've never heard any of it, so I don't know. I haven't got a clue what he does. But my guess is that he runs tracks, channels as though they were decks, has clips set up so he can go from one to the other, probably duplicates channel 1 and channel 2 with all the tracks on so he can pick and choose which one to skip from and to. And then I would imagine there is a stack of effects and EQs and whatever else in there. And I'm going to guess there's probably another couple of channels of maybe some loops and bits and pieces, like some hi-hat loops, maybe some MIDI loops. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought he'd even do that. Probably just percussion loops and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I can't imagine it's too complicated. Is there a possible trick with the undock and show in a separate window button? I mean, I guess you could undock and show the waveform in a separate window, but again, I don't know if you'd need to or want to be honest. Merry Christmas. Hope Santa brought you a new Moog. He didn't. That would be nice, though. Gold Toast. Hey, Dom, happy Christmas, and to you. I don't have any question for this week. Just wanted to thank you for doing these Q&As and that I recently discovered. Hope you have a fantastic holiday and that hopefully we can all vibe out to some new music next year. High five for that. And a double high five for sneaking it into the sentence. Yes, I hope you had a good Christmas too. Jockamaya. Yes, Dom, you had mentioned my drum and bass remix in the previous AMA and you said you didn't know who it was. There we go. Yes, that's why I mentioned it. My Christmas question is, being from Reedsburg, Wisconsin, which, by the way, is the home of sound devices. Christmas crackers are not sold here. Are they a regular tradition in the UK? I only know of their existence because of Doctor Who. Do you buy them, and what brand do you buy if you do? So, yeah, I saw this comment come through, and it kind of threw me because I forget that in America, Christmas crackers aren't really a thing. I always assume that they're just a worldwide thing, but they're not. I think they're quite a British thing. And when you really think about it, it's quite an odd concept. So for anyone watching this that doesn't know what a Christmas cracker is, I'm fairly sure most people at least know what they are. It is a tube of paper with two ends that you can pull, so it breaks in half. And inside that is like a little strip of gunpowder type stuff, so that when you pull and it rips with a bang. And inside is usually a paper hat and some cheap, terrible toy like the smallest screwdriver you ever saw in your life, or a bit of red plastic in the shape of a fish that is supposed to be a fortune-telling fish, and you put it on your hand, and it comes with a bit of paper that tells you if the tail curls up, you're, I don't know, in love. If the head curls up, then you're angry, and if both curl up, then you're happy, or whatever. which is really odd now I'm thinking about it. Or you might get some dominoes or some playing cards or whatever. There's a surprise in there, and the paper hat clearly you have to wear by law to finish your food. And usually a terrible joke, and they're terrible jokes on purpose because it kind of acts as an icebreaker. And everyone has one, and you tend to open it before you start your food, and it's just kind of a weird ritual that we do. So that's the Christmas cracker. What I thought was really interesting was in your question, you've asked what brand do you get, and it made me think, well, there isn't a brand. They're just Christmas crackers. But of course, if you didn't know about Christmas crackers, then that would be a valid question. So I guess there's a brand in that it depends on which shop. So most supermarkets will kind of make their own. So supermarkets, we've got like Tesco, you'll buy Tesco ones. If you shop in Morrison's, you buy Morrison's ones. If you shop in Waitrose, which is a posh supermarket, you get Waitrose ones. So you don't really they're not brand like Adidas or Nike or whatever, although you probably can get them. But it basically comes down to supermarket ones. So there we go. Are they a regular tradition in the UK? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty much, I think it's like inscribed in law or something. I mean, I can't think of a Christmas dinner where I haven't had Christmas crackers. So yeah, I would say it's but it's just for Christmas. I only know of their existence because of Doctor Who. That's really weird but cool. I'm aware that Doctor Who is popular everywhere, and where I'm from in Cardiff is where they film it and have the Doctor Who museum and stuff. So I'm very much a fan of the Doctor Who thing. Do you buy them? Yes. And what brand do you buy? If you do, it just depends on what shop I'm in. Because like I said, they're supposed to be crappy jokes and they're supposed to be crappy presents. And I kind of feel like, I mean, you could splash out. They're not expensive anyway, but you could splash out on the expensive ones, and really the reaction of people is no different to getting the cheap ones. So there isn't really a brand that's better than another, because I think the idea of them is that they're a bit crap. So it's just a bit of fun. So I think there's no sort of brand loyalty or anything like that, because they're all pretty much the same crap put inside. So yeah, there we go. Deadly Custard. Merry Christmas, Dom, family, and all the regular names. Yes, Merry Christmas to you too. Hope you all have a wonderful 2020, and thank you, Dom, for keeping up the AMA series for us. Your passion for music and for sharing your thoughts on the industry and beyond is infectious. Well, thank you very much. Question: I wonder why has no one ever, as far as I'm aware, made a credible electronic Christmas song? Yeah, well, I can kind of understand it, really. The only one that springs to mind that comes close is Mike Oldfield's weird little ditty in Dulce Jubilo, which is instrumental but not electronic, unless you are counting a keyboard. Do you know, I'm not sure I've even heard that. I probably have. My dad was a big Mike Oldfield fan, so I must have heard it. Do you think there is just no way to make them not sound naff? You've kind of hit something there. It must surely be possible to create something suitably Christmassy / wintry that could get played. So, okay, I think a good Christmas song should be shit, because that's kind of the fun. So in line with the Christmas cracker thing, that there's a reason the jokes inside a Christmas cracker are terrible jokes. They're like the worst dad jokes you ever heard. And the reason for that is because if you were putting together highbrow jokes or complicated jokes or clever jokes of any kind, and you've got a family of 12 people around a table. Of the 12 people, 3 of them might get it and find it funny and laugh. 3 of them might kind of get it but not really see the humour in it. 3 of them might just not get it but kind of just feel a bit bad for not getting it and then laugh along. And then the final 3 might go, I don't get it, I have no clue what happened there. And now you've got 4 groups of people all feeling different emotions, and it's all a bit awkward and whatever around the table. Whereas with a Christmas cracker joke, they're always terrible jokes. They're always the worst dad jokes you ever heard. And the reason is because you've got 12 people around a table, and all 12 of them of the people go ugh together, and it's that united feeling of everybody hates the joke together, basically, and it's that feeling of togetherness, I suppose, that it brings. So I feel like that's kind of where a Christmas song needs to be as well. Not that it should be terrible and that we should hate it, but I feel like it should be somewhat cheesy, and I feel like it should be a bit wacky and a bit out of the ordinary, because people either love it together or hate it together, basically. And I think that's probably one of the key elements to a Christmas song. Second of all, it needs to be hugely memorable. Everybody needs to be able to sing along to it. So for me, the idea of an instrumental Christmas song is okay, but are you going to play it around that family of 12, that you've got around the table? Bearing in mind your age ranges of the 12 people might be from 0 to 100. Is the song going to appeal to all of them? No, it's absolutely not. If it's electronic and instrumental, it's not going to appeal to... I mean, it might appeal to half of them, if you're lucky. But I think you probably find it be the same scenario as the Christmas cracker joke. 3 of them might go, oh, I like this. 3 of them might go, yeah, I get it, but it's not my thing. And 3 of them will go, don't really get it, but it's fine. And then the other 3 will go, this is terrible, I hate it. So you're kind of splitting up the table. So that's my view on why fundamentally there hasn't been and probably won't be an instrumental, at least electronic Christmas song. Not one that's credible, because it kind of needs to be remembered by everyone. That's part of the fun, is that everyone remembers it, whether it's for good or bad reasons. So yeah, it is absolutely possible to write a Christmassy, wintry, instrumental electronic song, but to gain any traction or have any credible popularity from it, I think is near impossible, I think. So that's my view. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to hit reset on the camera because I'm coming up to the 30-minute mark, so I'll see you in a second. And I'm back. Zombo. Hi Dom, love the vid. I wanted to ask, computers are powerful and fun to produce on, but what about laptops? I just don't want to let out of... What? Hang on. I just don't want to let out of my bed. Yes, I am... Oh, I see. Right, you don't want to get out of my bed. Yes, I am lazy. I use headphones a lot. So any laptops you recommend? I can get Mac Pros and gaming laptop too. Okay, that's... I like the fact that you've put you're lazy and don't want to get out of bed. Because if you hadn't have said that, I would have said don't get a laptop, if I'm honest. So I think laptops are fine. I think they're, most modern day laptops, especially all gaming laptops, they can handle, a fair amount of computing power. But they all tend to get thermal throttled, and they all tend to have components that are perhaps not as stable as a desktop computer. So generally speaking, I would always sort of recommend go for a desktop rather than laptop. But if you're hell-bent on staying in bed and making music there on headphones, if I'm honest, I would say MacBook Pro. So we've kind of had this discussion before where I've talked about, which is what led me to Hackintosh over Mac Pro. As much as I hate what Apple do with a lot of their hardware and their software, and the way that they sort of push their customers into constantly buying new and more of whatever, the one thing they have always got right is their OS. Mac OS, to me, is the biggest selling point of Apple. And they need to be very, very, very careful that they don't lose track of that, because I think if they screw that up, they can lose a lot of people. And they are walking on thin ice when it comes to these things. So when it comes to laptops, I think if you were to spec up a gaming laptop to be the equivalent hardware power of a MacBook Pro, I think you'd be hard pressed to make it cheaper. And I know a lot of people sort of talk about, the price of Apple computers versus PCs. And I think actually, when you actually start speccing up like for like, I know someone, was it Andrew Hollis, I think, specced up a PC to be equivalent to, equivalent cost, I should say, of the Mac Pro, the new $5,500 Mac Pro, which was fine, and that was equivalent cost. So I'm not using that as an example of this being wrong. But if you were to try and equally spec up a PC that had the exact same power and capability as that $5,500 Mac Pro, you would probably end up with something very near or perhaps even slightly over the price. So I think if you're talking about money, then I think Mac Pros tend to give you more for your money, even though they never offer the budget version. And that's, I think, the bit that Apple kind of always missed a trick there, where they never really offered a budget version of what they do, or a stripped down, simplified version of what they do. Even their simpler versions were never really, they always had to have an extra trick. So for example, looking at the laptops, the MacBook Pro was the top end one, and then the MacBook was the mid-range one, mid-range by their view, but that was still super high-end laptop. And then their stripped down version was the MacBook Air, which, okay, was a little bit cheaper, but I think that was like £700 or something. It was still double what most average people were willing to spend on a laptop. But the reason for that is that everything just worked, and it came with macOS, and it worked, and there was no issues, there was no compatibility issues. And I think that's one of the big things that, so I'm sort of saying don't bother with gaming laptops unless you're a gamer. If you're a gamer, stick with PC with Windows, because you're not going to find the games on Apple. But if it's strictly music production, I would say macOS is just far more superior to Windows, and that's really what it comes down to. So it's not really about the hardware, it's about the software. And for me, macOS was just and is so much more stable than Windows 10. So yeah, that's my view. I can get Mac Pros and gaming laptop too. So I would say, personally, I would stick with a MacBook Pro if you can. But you will find there are always going to be fundamental issues with any laptop when it comes to music production, because it relies on fairly heavy computational power, and most laptops will be thermal throttled. So they, even though they might say whatever 3.4 gigahertz or whatever. It's not equivalent. A 3.4 gigahertz quad core on a laptop is not equivalent to a 3.4 gigahertz quad core desktop PC. They're not the same. I mean, they are the same in terms of computing frequency and power, but actually one gets thermal throttled substantially and the other one doesn't, and so they hit their limits much quicker in laptops. So yeah, I don't know if that helps or not. Moving on, Cavacay. Cheers, Dom. High five. Merry Crimble-tide. Slightly embarrassing, but it seems Tune.co was taken down a few days after I wrote my comment with a notice about some partnership negotiations. Looking at the site now, they seem to be migrating everything to Emanate. Tune seemed like a good idea with the right motivation behind it, but I'm guessing they will have experienced a lot of opposition from the music industry they were trying to disrupt. Tell me more. What were they doing? What were they trying to disrupt? Before I move on, because you've got Christmas question then. So what's Emanate? I'm gonna guess that just comes up with the word in the English language. So it's not going to tell me anything. Tell me more. What was this Tune.co? What was it supposed to do? Because I think we were talking about record labels and distribution and aggregates and things like that. So I'm trying to work out what it is that they did that you were suggesting them for. Here we go. If I just click that Tune.co, sadly moved. Path for Tune artists to continue their blockchain-based music journey, including a token swap. Say what? So this is a blockchain thing? Okay, you're going to have to tell me more, because I don't see how blockchain is going to help artists do anything. Tell me more. Obvious Christmas question. Have you treated yourself to anything with your Crimbo stash, or was it all socks and jumpers? I'm of the age where socks and t-shirts and things like that, tools, are things that I absolutely want and need. So there were all of those things, and that's great because I'm happy with those. No, I haven't treated myself to anything. No, I haven't. It's not even occurred to me this year, to be honest. I think, again, having a baby in the house kind of changes priorities of these things. And actually, I kind of don't want for much in life. I think, there's a million things that I would want, but there's nothing that I need. I'm happy either way. Where do we get to? P.S. No Expanse reminders this week. Well, that kind of is one. But your other half might possibly like it if she enjoys noir-type crime drama, as it has a bit of that element to it. My wife generally can't stand sci-fi, but she enjoyed it. We're both massive Friends fans too, so I definitely understand the draw of putting that on when you need a laugh and to relax with something familiar. High five for that. The last episode still makes me feel bereft, though, even after watching it 100 times. A friend of mine was in the last episode, actually, of Friends. He went to LA for, I think he was there a couple of years, and was trying his hands at a bit of acting and doing some extras stuff. And I spoke to him on the phone around that time, and he said he'd just been in the Friends finale. I was like, what? And he's there in the airport in the background when Ross is... this is kind of no spoilers, but do you know what? It's been 25 years, so screw you. But Ross is chasing Rachel through the airport, and... you can see, I think there's two scenes or 2 camera shots, you can see there's a guy in the background sort of pointing up at the timetable of the airport, and he's got, you can't miss him, he's got bleach blonde hair and he's fairly tall. Yeah, that's my mate G. Yeah, so he made it into the Friends finale, and I will be eternally jealous of that. So yeah, so I feel bereft for even more reasons than you. So yeah, another high five for that. Yeah, so there we go. Andrew Hollis, vibe, high five, and Merry Christmas to you and your family and your YouTube family. Yes, again, Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you very much, and I hope you and yours have a good one too. A few daft Crimbo questions. Roses or Quality Street, and fave sweet from choice. So I would say Quality Street over Roses, and I thought it was the other way around until about a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago even, and I saw a box of Roses on sale. I assume it's because they were getting their early Christmas stock into the shop, and I thought, oh yeah, Roses, they're the best, and I bought them, and I didn't enjoy any of them. They were terrible. So yeah, that really threw me. So Quality Street 100% over Roses. And favourites, the ones in the pink wrapper, the fudge, definitely. It's country fudge, I think they call it. Yeah, that is definitely my favourite. Our family works out pretty well, actually, where amongst us we each like different ones. So yeah, Quality Street works out perfect. Number 2, Christmas TV times or radio times. Do you know what? I don't know. My mum used to get one of them, and I couldn't tell you which one it was. But I remember as a kid, being the kid I was, I would wait for her to come home with that, the Christmas edition, and that was the only time of year she would ever buy it, was just for the Christmas. And I would sit there with a highlighter pen and I would read every TV show that's going to be broadcast across the UK for the entire Christmas period, and I would highlight all the things I wanted to watch. Yeah, I really wasn't a nerd, I promise. 3, favourite Christmas song and most disliked Christmas song. I don't know. I think now that I've just been put on the spot, I think my mind has just gone completely blank to every Christmas song I've ever heard. I think probably the Pogues would be my favourite, as weird as that is. I just like, I don't know, I just feel it's the most, I can't say it's the most Christmassy because it's just depressing. I don't know. I think that's probably favourite. Disliked, I don't know, kind of what I said earlier on. I feel like I don't have a right to dislike Christmas songs, because they make other people happy, and who am I to dislike that? Also, I can't think of one to name, so yeah, let's leave it at that. Yeah, moving on. Daily Patcher, vibe, high five. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Okay, officially, no. I know people are going to hate me for this. I disagree with the official statement, but I seem to remember reading an interview with the director of Die Hard, and he came out saying, no, it's not a Christmas movie. It was never meant to be a Christmas movie. But I think he's wrong, because to me, it is a Christmas movie. If so, is it the best Christmas movie to watch with the family? I'd say it's one of, but the problem is with Die Hard is that as awesome as it is, it makes me then want to watch Die Hard 2 because Die Hard 2 is better, which then makes me want to watch Die Hard with a Vengeance because I think that's my favourite. Yeah. So then I end up watching 3 Die Hards and it's nothing to do with Christmas. So it's definitely a distraction from Christmas. Best family Christmas movies. Got to be Home Alone 1 and or 2, either one. 3 and 4 do not exist, by the way. Do not even attempt them. And if you disagree, you're wrong. That's the end of it. Deadly Custard has said, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is a must watch every year for me. I understand that, but it's not for me. I never even enjoyed it. I don't think I even enjoyed the National Lampoon things as a kid. I don't know if that makes me weird or not. And then finally, St. Nicholas Vibe. High five. That is it, my friends, for this Christmas. So I will see you next year now. Yeah, because it's New Year's Eve in a few days. So I hope everyone has had a good Christmas, and I hope everyone has a good New Year. And if you're watching this after New Year, then I hope you had a good New Year. If you've made it this far into the video, then to prove that you have, comment the word... Man, what's going on with all these suggestions in my YouTube feed? Someone's been using my account, I think. I just saw some hideous crap. I don't even know what that was. Comment the word BMW, or the letters BMW, because I can see a video called Sending It in a BMW M5 Competition Pack, which I might watch in a moment. See you this time next week. Cheers.